Yo, what's up? Good morning. My name's Patrouski, and custom strings in PokeMMO are in a really weird spot right now, and have been in a weird spot since the Johto update. For those who don't know, custom strings are essentially a way to edit the in-game's dialogue and code to allow yourself to do things a lot faster. It's always been allowed by the developers, but now it does seem like we are adjusting things. So custom strings is crucial when it comes to egg shunting specifically. You can do about 200 eggs without strings and like 400 or more if you're better. With custom strings, it makes the activity way more mechanically intensive, way more difficult, way more skill intensive. And it's really interesting and speeds things up, which is super important when egg shunting is so drastically long. It can also increase heal times and speed up Jimmy runs and everything of the sorts. Now, I do have something to say about all of this at the very end, but we'll go ahead and actually read through just this forum post. No one really knows exactly what's going on. We're just getting bits and pieces, it seems like, here from the devs. I'm hearing lots of different conflicting information. This is just sort of a little update. Nothing here is going to be absolutely 100% fact for the most part, unless the devs say it, and you can take it a little more seriously. And we do have some dev communication and some dev response in this forum post. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Someone posted, strings were intentionally nerfed / removed, ? And he goes on to say, I haven't seen much on this topic yet so far, but I've seen some sources suggesting that the devs removed the advantage of strings that they gave to players. He links a little post that shows P Cookie saying, are strings super slow for anybody? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. And then Rach saying, there were some timing changes if I recall. People obviously a little sad about that. Strings were definitely not the intended way to play the game. Once again, we'll get to my thoughts on this at the end. If this was intentional, I need to ask, why not just make strings a default option if it's about fairness? There's nothing more annoying to the player experience than spending 3 minutes slowly clicking through text bubbles on each berry plot while planting, or being forced to sit through long text when trying to breed eggs on Charm. This 100% kill the berry farming market, unless you're a Chinese bot. Interesting. People's motivation to do difficult egg shunts. If a dev really did plan to do this on this update, I would expect some clarity on what's happening. Clarity is a very fair request. That's always something that I always encourage. Let's go ahead and continue on. A lot of this is people just kind of talking about it, their thoughts and opinions. I don't want to get random people's thoughts and opinions for the most part. Some people are saying that strings still work for them. Some versions of strings actually totally still work. I've also heard this, so I don't really know what to believe. I don't know if strings are still working for some people. If new rewritten strings are working, I don't know. Let's go ahead and scroll down to the important post that I want to talk about, which is, I believe, scroll down until we see, there should be a, here we go. There's a developer response from Darkshade. Darkshade's been around for a really long time as well. He's technically a graphic designer, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe he used to be one of the original devs, or is one of the pretty much the big devs. He's a big voice on the game, so I feel like we should take what he says pretty seriously. Now, someone responds. Someone says, there's a button in game to easily import string files. That's an intended feature. Is that the way the game was intended to play the game? Who cares? Keep in mind, to the who cares, this is how Darkshade starts his response. I'll play it however it's best for me. There's plenty of beauty of player customization, mods, themes falls in the same category. I do want to preface, okay, I will probably start giving my opinion. Mods and themes absolutely do not fall into the same category as custom strings. Something that changes the pace of the game is not comparable to something that changes the aesthetic of the game. I don't know why that would ever be a correlation. It's just not true at all. Now, Darkshade responds, well, we do, to the who cares, which I really respect, because I don't like when gamers and a lot of people do, they end up belittling their own game. The own thing that they care about, they sort of just say, oh, who cares? But I care. The devs care. A lot of people do care. It should be pretty clear to everyone that the import strings feature isn't intended to be used to have you skip dialogue, but you know that already. That is super interesting. And then someone else goes on to respond, yeah, but it's a bit too late for that change in my opinion. But if there's a demand for it, then it should either be officially implemented into the game or clearly prohibited and changed so it can't even be done. A strange gray area is not the best place to be in, especially not when it affects a historically picky subset of the player base. This is very fair. This is a very fair response. I'm essentially saying, you know what? we need to either ban strings outright or have like an officially. I really like the idea. This is something that I'll kind of get to what my thoughts. I actually said months ago, maybe I'm at fault for this. I said months ago that strings are kind of strange and that strings probably should be standardized. It's really, really weird that we as the players have to like kind of look through like third-party download sites and go through the forums and stuff to find a pair of custom strings that's the fastest to be able to participate competitively in things like shiny hunting, edge shunting, and things like Jimmy runs. It's really, 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 really weird that we have to sort of run through all these hoops and go through all these weird things, and I have to explain to new players, oh yeah, if you want to edge shunt, you have to go get custom strings. Like, oh, what custom string should I get? Oh, I have a guide on it, but there's also other custom strings. There's tons of sets here and there. Some are faster than others. It's a complicated thing to explain. It's weird that the pacing of the game could be different for different players, and it does muddle the fairness. Absolutely. Now my idea was always to you could either get rid of strings, which has proven to be an issue, or a balancing issue as well, because from what I've heard, from my understanding, different games run at different speeds in different languages. So from my understanding, that's what I was always told. From my understanding, custom strings was a way to sort of balance that out, in a way to sort of, the devs could correct me because I don't want to keep spreading that if that's misinformation. That's what I've always been told by older players, veteran players, that custom strings were a way to sort of even out the playing field along those faster speeding out typing, regions or languages, which makes a lot of sense. So you can't just get rid of custom strings, because then people would have to switch their game to like Mandarin or Chinese, for example, and they'd have to like learn how to read that and like play and that's like the most efficient way to play the game, because it outputs the text so much faster because the symbols make up so many more sounds. That sounds really frustrating and uncomplicated as well. If a region has a huge advantage there, so there has to be something done. My suggestion was always to, like this person's kind of saying, have some sort of officially implemented strings, or my idea was always like one set of strings that you are allowed to use. One developer set of strings where they're like, hey, this is the official strings that people can use. It's the same pace as all the other languages, yada, yada. But let's go ahead and get into Dark Shade's response. Not to disappoint you, but it absolutely isn't. I do respect this and agree with this, where he's responding to, at this point, it's too late to make the change. I definitely disagree with this. I mean, obviously the game's been out for 10 years, but custom strings didn't pop up for, I'm trying to remember, I don't have the best memory on this. I would guess that custom strings didn't pop up until at least post Unova, probably around Sinnoh era. Like, the game's been out for 11 years. Custom strings have probably only been an issue since, I would guess, 2019, like Sinnoh era, because I don't remember them being an issue for a long time. Maybe I just missed them, but custom strings have not really been an issue for a long time. They're just not something, it's just not really been a problem. We didn't have them, etc., etc. The game didn't have a working fishing animation for years before we fixed that. There's an important balance to strike between quality of life, balance, and polish. Absolutely. Super, super fair. And then people kind of just go on to discuss things a bit more. I don't know what the final stance is on this still, and there's a lot of, like, some people are just saying, oh, strings still work. It's actually totally fine. Yada yada. I don't know what the official stance is right now. I do hope that the devs probably should release some sort of official announcement. I think that this change was kind of done under the rug, which is a little frustrating. And they didn't really explain it to the players. They've been like answering general questions or answering general things here and there. Maybe I missed it. Maybe they mentioned like a philosophy or a balancing change in one of the official update things, and I totally missed it. But I think it'd be a hugely beneficial thing to the community. Once again, communication is key when it comes to stuff like this, and I really wish they would communicate. I think if they posted in announcements or in updates like, hey, this is our balancing philosophy, and it's changing to this, this, and this because of this and this, and we're going to be standardizing strings. I think standardizing strings is actually a good idea. Like, it's something that I've been talking about for months. I think it's really weird and really unfair. Like I talked about before, you have to go through these weird loops to get these weird third-party strings to make it weirdly faster, and some are faster than others, and it's just strange. It reminds me of like certain like RuneLite plugins or certain like RuneScape plugin add-ons on a certain clients that no longer become, there's no longer quality of life if you're actually just speeding up the pace of the, that's if you're impacting the balance. That is not quality of life. That is a straight buff or a nerf, and it's weird if other people, imagine if you could download something that would change your PokeMMO emulation speed to like 2 times, right? But the average player didn't know about that, and they're like, that'd be so weird if someone could play at 2 times speed because they just knew about this thing and the other players didn't. That's not very fair because they just didn't look out for it, right? And then imagine if someone found one to make it like 2.1 times speed or 2.2 or like in the higher levels, and it just gets so convoluted, so complicated, so confusing, and a pain. I feel like it's best to just either ban it all and get languages in check and have it go at the same pace, or just have some sort of set of strings that allows to everything to go at the same pace. I think I'm with the devs in terms of standardization of the strings. I don't think it's too late. I think it probably has to happen. I know it's a shitty thing. Like, as someone who, like, I actually am getting the itch to do egg hunts, and I really, really want to do egg hunts again. As someone who wants to do that, it's going to suck without strings or with a different set of strings, but I think it's better for the game. And I think it's really important to understand, hey, what do I want? What's best for my personal needs versus what's best for the game? I think it's best for the game to have a standardization of these strings. So, very longer video than I expected. I think it's a very passionate, very serious topic, honestly, about the game. Custom strings are a pretty big deal. It's funny because, like, most casual players probably have never heard of or don't use custom strings, which is only fair. You really don't need to in a lot of aspects. I feel like unless you're egg hunting, you don't need custom strings, which is super fair. But it does affect time a lot when it comes to those people egg hunting. Literally, like, doubles the amount of time or something like that. Or, yeah, it's pretty brutal, but anyways, I think that's everything. I think I covered everything. TLDR, I actually do like the change in balancing and philosophy from the devs, and I'm cool with standardization of strings and everything of the sort. I do think, and my pretty much typical reaction from the devs, I think communication needs to be better. I think if they have a change in philosophy or a change in the way they want to go about something in the future, I think making an update or an announcement about, like, a blog post about it is totally valid. But I don't know, that's just me. What do you guys think? Be nice, polite in your feedback in the comments. Make sure to leave comments. Like this video if you did enjoy it. Dislike if not. Subscribe to the channel for daily PokeMMO videos. Follow the Twitch for streams Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. Discord's down below if you're interested in that. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel, thanks for watching. YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal/Venmo do help a ton. You don't have to, though. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Have fun. Custom strings are complicated. Peace.